Good morning, it's me and Maisie and some hydrangea from Fiona, and it's got 15 minutes is what I'm allocating to this morning, and let's see what happens. I don't have any kitchen paper. No, I have kitchen paper. I don't have any masking tape. Yeah, I definitely don't have any masking tape, so I'm gonna just I do over there, but I'm not getting up again because it's quite nice sitting here beside Maisie. I'm hoping that the paper is just gonna stay put with the palette here. Yeah, so just a little thing. It is quite nice having a secure page before starting, but I guess one of the things that it might do for me is make my touch a bit lighter, and possibly I'm not going to get the flower in if the handle is that size, am I? Make my touch a bit lighter, and I found that one from the other day on the back of one of these, and there's an eye and there's a clean sheet. Okay, make my touch a bit lighter and allow me to slow down a little bit possibly, and just maybe let the water play more of a part. I kind of like the width, the span from the leaves over, so maybe what I'll do is I'll begin with the handle being just half, just the top of the handle being in the picture, and when I changed over there, I changed it from Viridian to a kind of a, I think it might be a Prussian blue, I'm not sure, but I put a bit of blue into the Viridian, so it's slightly closer, I think, to the colour of the jug. And then there'll be the little space where the leaves don't occupy the cavity inside in the jug. So from where I'm sitting, I can see the inside of the jug here, and no leaf in it, whereas here on this side there are leaves. Yeah, I mean, not completely 100% clear that that's the right proportion of leaf to space, so I'm going to lift off a little bit here. Okay, and then of course, I mean, before I go much further, it would be a nice thing, and just to be clear that I've got no green in my flowery colour, I decided to use a new brush. Okay, and I've got some pink on this palette. Oh, I'm getting a bit mixed up. There's the spout, so this is Hydrangea Beyond the spout. Yeah, I've got some pink in this palette that I don't know what it is, but it's lovely and it seems to be doing the job. Can you see that at all? Kinda. I mean, I'll try and bring you a bit closer there. You see, I want you to also be able to see the flowers really. Okay, that's a bit of a compromise. It's okay. So I'm quite enjoying letting the water direct letting the water play quite a big part here. I'm getting a little bit lost because I keep thinking that's the spout, and it's not, it's the bit inside. I need to keep remembering that, or else just stop with the pink and do the spout. I think that's what I'll do. I'll go back to my green brush again, blue-green brush, and I'll make the exciting shape for that spout there, which is actually a little bit higher up than the shape inside, but it's not far off the same volume. I mean, it's a little bit smaller than that space there. Again, I think there's room to take off that little tip of the blue. Doesn't seem like that needs to be there. And I'll put a touch of that darker blue in here, just to make it resonate with it. And I want to give a feel for the curve there. And when that's dry, I can put the twig, stem twig, on. Onto the hydrangea. Put a little bit more of that over here because it's quite a dark handle. And I think actually before going into the flowers again, I'm going to use some of the sap green. No, it's Viridian green. I don't have sap green on here, I don't think. Oh, I do. Anyway, I used Viridian green mixed with cadmium yellow, and that looks like it's giving me that kind of a colour there, which looks to be close enough to the leaves. So the Viridian green, which is the blue green, and cadmium yellow together give me I'll just do it on here. May as well, seeing as I'm talking about it. Okay, so that's the Viridian green. I'll get a clean brush to show you what the cadmium yellow looks like. It's still got a bit of green in it, but it looks, you know, it's like, well, that's got quite a lot of green in it. In fact, that looks like a good colour for the leaves itself, just with a touch more of that green. We'll see. It might be actually that the leaves need to be made a bit duller anyway. Okay, so there's the stem of this one that's extending over, and it's creating a narrow space between the top of the jug and the stem. It's kind of an eye shape there. And then there's the other stem that extends over here. It's going up and over. And I'll just extend to the rest of this leaf. It leaves a nice triangle of space beneath it, and between it and the jug handle, almost horizontal, but maybe lifts a little bit more than I have it there. So there's a nice triangle there between the two, and then the top of that leaf is consistent with the top of the flower over here. And the top of that leaf is significantly darker now, but for now I just want to find the location of it. And if I was to continue the handle there, the other leaf extends from the same line as the handle going up and over. And it's a bit lighter, the green there. It's significantly lighter actually than the leaf in front where it meets it. And then there's another lovely bit of green. It's a yellow-green shape. That's like a half moon. And the bottom edge of it is represented by the leaf that's overlapping it, by the same part of it. It's part of the same leaf that overlaps the half moon bit. So that line where the overlapping bit sits in front, if I were to continue that line, it's actually, it's kind of like that. Okay, and the half moon comes up halfway through the jug, between that end and that end. The half moon comes the beginning of the half moon, so it shoots straight up I should say maybe like a semicircle, but half moon sounds nice, doesn't it? Shoots straight up, and then there's a step in, and it goes horizontal-ish for a wee while, and then it starts to come back down for about the same distance, or maybe a tiny bit longer than that extension there. And then it turns into something a little bit, into a green that's a little bit bluer. So I put a touch of cerulean blue, I think it's cerulean blue, into that green, into the bright yellow green. So that's that. And that same colour is what I'm seeing over here in the leaf that's behind. And the leaf that's behind. I'm trying to see how that relates to that one. It's a little bit higher up. Okay. And maybe I'll go back and do a little bit more jug. I could have a couple of waters, but I'm just not letting the water get too dirty by not really washing the brushes. I'm just putting them in to wet them enough. Because I've got enough brushes, I don't have to completely wash them. I can just make sure that I'm using blues with one brush and, you know, greens with another, pinks with another. And then I don't have to make them all so completely clean. Right, this needs to come in a bit over here. Just printing the edge. Alright, and then there's a more dull green that maybe will have some viridian, and I think some red in it. Yeah, in order to make a shadow for the leaf as it's hiding in here. A bit of the leaf is kind of being overlapped by the jug. It's like it's kind of packed into the jug, the hydrangea leaf. And there's another one here beyond the stem of that one. It's got like kind of carving, you know, those veins, the way they carve around. And I'm seeing really significantly a very dark. That helps to outline the stem on this one to the left. And the edge of the leaf on the right. So there's a dark colour there. That's quite nice. Yeah, so it's helping to outline this stem and to get an emphasis on the direction of that leaf. And I can also use it over here where hopefully the leaf behind has dried enough that I can put the darker leaf in front of it now without it bleeding into it. But we'll see. And I think it needs more cadmium red. It's wanting a duller, redder green shadow than a blue-green shadow, I think. So that's why I've changed the colour there. It's quite blue-green there and it's competing with the jug, I think. So instead I want to make it more like a green that I was using here. And then there's the continued curl of that leaf. Okay. And if it was dry enough, I might have been able to go back over to the flower and do the stem, but it's not yet dry enough, so I'm going to leave it for another little while. Leave it alone for another little while. Half closing my eyes now, I see that another significant dark is let me just finish this leaf first. With my eyes half closed, this is quite dark. But I was also going to say that the top edge of that leaf at the back is probably one of the darkest parts of the whole image, and it shows the overlapping of the brighter bit of the front of the leaf. When I put in the dark back here, it'll help to show the layers come back. So it feels important to me not to let the dark bleed into the light. There. Just checking what to do here. Yeah, I think I'll bring that drip over to explain the outside edge of this leaf. And then I can pull that up and complete the shadows on. Let me see. Shadows on the overlapped bit of the dark leaf behind. On the dark overlapping bits of the leaf that actually probably is quite light behind, but it's the bits that are overlapped are darker. Okay. So my eyes are half closed all the time here in order that I can eliminate any unnecessary detail and really focus on the shape of the dark. Alright, I'm going to go over here because I got a bit confused. So what's happening here is the leg of the leaf there, and then there's a straight up bit, and then the dark edge. I mean, it's got a comey edge to it, like it's a lumpy. I don't know what you would describe that edge as, but there are little more marching shapes going in that direction. Now it's bled in, hasn't it? It's bled into the light, into the lighter front, and actually I'm okay with it, except this bit here. I want to just straighten that. Oh, maybe I didn't straighten it, but de-emphasized the contrast, so I'll just pop some dark colour back in there. And now I'll get some more cadmium red because there's something happening here that I want to define clearly, and it is the darkest part of the whole image, I think, back here. This bit of red, reddish green, and there's a change to the edge there, which I could maybe make with this brush. It's dry, fairly dry now, the brush, because I want to push down that. When I lift it off, I could maybe use some kitchen paper too, just to re-emphasize the shape of it, and to re-emphasize the clarity of the edge of that leaf. I needed to push it back so that it was not quite so steep there. Okay. And there'll be a little bit of lifting off here too, where I got a bit confused. So I just take a touch off there, and there's a little lump here which isn't quite so sharp a corner. And then it's moving down, and there's a little curve in the valley there, and another slight lump. I feel happier that I've explained the character of that leaf now. Do I? This is the front, and it needs to continue coming over a little bit farther the front, and then I'll be happy with that one. So the front of it, I just want to make it a little bit more overlapping here. And like, it's not really that far off the colour that's in there, but it's important, I think, for it to read as being different, so I'm going to maybe emphasize the yellow green in there, so that that channel sets apart the front leaf from the back leaf. And it's quite a yellow colour that I've lifted up now, so I see it to be evident here as well, and maybe stronger here in what I was calling the half moon shape. she's just reorganizing herself here. And then there's a leaf that takes off into the background that will be a bit duller. So I just put some red in it. It takes off and it's going to stop lower down, so it'll be a bit like that. Yeah, a bit like that. Okay. I suppose these reddish. So you know the way in hydrangea leaves sometimes there's a kind of a burnt thing that happens at the edge of them. That's what's happened at the front edge of this leaf. So I'm just injecting some of that cadmium red into the edge. I don't know if it's the best way to describe it, but for the moment it's what I feel I want to do. I'm not really looking at the bigger picture so much here, but for some reason the thing that's satisfying about this painting for me is that steady, slow finding of just being curious as to actually what is going on in this particular leaf, in this particular shadow, you know, rather than it being in any way at all about producing an outcome that's altogether the same. Kind of a funny thing to describe, but there is a full absorption sometimes in like a full absorption in the process of it, in the single move, in the single look, just one single look, and then find slowly the best way to come at it, what's been uncovered in that single look, and leave it to be then, and find what's the next revelation. Yeah. And you see then there's no weight on the results. Something about that I think I heard something about that before, about how the reward is in the looking. Maybe the reward is in the praying, was what I heard. Something about praying, I think is what it was, maybe. And the reward is the prayer itself, or the prayer, the answer is the prayer. Is that it? I don't know. Something reminds me of that here, because it feels like the looking is the satisfying part. And the reward is already in that, like, so there doesn't have to be also a reward of a painting that's looking a particular way. And then just kind of remembering that we can get lost in words as well. My attention is here. Alright, and probably I could do with making this one more generally mid-tone as well, like. It's nice how here it's darker than the leaf behind in this spot here, and then here it's almost, well, certainly the stem is lighter than the leaf behind. Maybe not quite at the edge of it, but it's nice having contrast within the leaf. So we'll make it darker here. Of course, that's an opportunity there for a sharp dark, for it to really read as being darker and clearer against the background leaf. The opportunity gets to do that, but it's actually still too wet for me to be able to make it a clean edge that dark at the front. So failing being able to make a clean edge, I'm just going to continue the dark where it isn't too wet, and hope that on either side will let our eyes see that there's a bridge of leaf in there too. Serrated. That's what I was looking for, the word serrated. The hydrangea has a serrated edge. The leaf of the hydrangea. It'll be Erin getting up upstairs now. She's going in for 11, and I've got a Zoom call at 11, so I won't be driving Erin in this morning. I don't know if any of you watching knew, but I had a Facebook sale of my paintings there recently, and actually it's ongoing, but I think most of them are sold now, which is lovely. And the Zoom call this morning is with my friend Jim. Himself and his wife are doing a huge amount for me with the sale. They're packaging and posting everything, and of course Jim took the photos as well. So the call is kind of about that and a few other admin still things. Be good to feel on top of that stuff, or if I'm not on top of it, to know that someone else is. No pressure, Jim. So I'm going back over here now with that dark colour still on the brush, because I want to emphasize again this serrated burnt edge that's on the hydrangea leaf over on this side. And I think it's got like a cadmium, almost a burnt sienna cadmium red about it at the edge here. So I've put some cadmium red onto the edge of this brush. Okay, and now I'm going to, I don't know why, but it feels like I'm going to push it up and lift here to darken down this on the underside of the leaf a little bit more significantly, so that we get a feel for it overlapping. Maybe it needs a bit more green back into it now as we come up here. So I'm pushing and lifting so that the edge is where the paint accumulates. I like having the microphone because then I can just speak fairly softly, and I feel like I'm still heard, and it's a more relaxing way to talk than to be projecting my voice as though I'm in a classroom or something. Although, you know what, one of the best teachers that I knew were those who became quieter and quieter if the children became noisier, and that was a very effective way of creating and instilling a sense of calm, and I suppose terror if the reason for the quietness was that somebody had done something. Maybe terror is too big a word, but like, do you know how some teachers would yell and scream as the child, if the child did something, like they would get louder and give out, whereas in a way it's more, that has more impact if there's more quietness from the teacher, I think. And it's possible, the possibility of self-reflection maybe comes in that quietness. I don't know. It's not easy for anybody as like school. When I see my own children going to school now, I feel like, it's not always as plain sailing as you might imagine. I can't so much remember my own school days, really. But I don't think I always felt very good about myself at that age. This is cadmium yellow now that I'm bringing back in for the stems. And here it's yellow too. And even there it's more, really it's more white. So I'm just going to paint the shadows on the leaves coming up to meet the white bit there. So the veins are catching the light. And I'll just finish this side by putting some blue over the white to describe the light being slightly different on that leaf, where the underside is a bit more yellow. Okay. That's there. Yeah, so the underside is a little bit more yellow here. But I suppose I better get back over to the flower too. I hadn't fully anticipated doing a video this morning at all, because there would be things to organise before that Zoom call. But I'll get most of it done anyway. And it's been 3 days since. So what I've been doing the last few days, right, is getting up, going to bed around 4:30. Because of the Facebook sale, there's quite a lot to organise. So going to bed around 4:30, and then getting up in time for school, to take the girls to school, or, there was a certain adrenaline kind of thing going on with the Facebook sale, I suppose, as well, to get it all sorted, up and running, and then monitoring it a bit. And so I had the impetus to stay up. Like, it was good that I stayed up the first night, because the electricity went out and I wouldn't have been able to load the paintings onto Facebook the next morning. So by some grace of God, I ended up staying up pretty much all night the night before last, and loaded the pictures up, and then just put them, and then just made them public on my phone, like, so I didn't have a huge amount to do in the morning. Anyway, I'm telling you all this because those 2 mornings, and when I woke up, I only had a few hours sleep, and when I got up, I didn't do my yoga or meditation or my painting. So this is my first day back at all 3 of those things. So I did do a little meditation last night before helping Lily with her maths. I needed that. So it's not like I've not done any quiet sitting. But my morning routine is something I really value. And so I'm back in action with that this morning. So that's good. And I guess it's no harm either to not have a rigid ritual that has to be. The girls get annoyed at me calling it a ritual. They're like, Mum, ritual? Yeah, helpful not for it to be so rigid, like. But most days it's a good idea for me, I find. Might not be a good idea every single day. Some days maybe I could just go and stay in bed or something. But I would say 99% of days, it does me good to get up and move my body, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and then sit quietly. The other thing that happens, of course, is Maisie gets walked as well. That's another part of that. I haven't really, by the time I do the 4 things, if I'm doing a painting on video, walking Maisie, meditation and yoga, the 4 things together take up until midday, really. Maybe even later sometimes. But I'm not going to walk Maisie now until after the Zoom call. And she's a lovely versatile dog because she's not been demanding. She does, if I'm sitting quite happy, she sits quite happy. It's great. So I have to say, kudos to Maisie for that. She doesn't go nuts if she doesn't get a walk first thing in the morning, which is a fantastic thing. My neighbour who's got dogs was saying that. She said, and I thought the opposite was true, but she said, it's good if you don't get into too much of a routine with your animal, because then they start to expect it and they're barking at you if they don't get out. And so she said it's quite good to kind of shake it up a bit and just have different things going on at different times, so they don't expect food at a certain time. Although she does get 3 meals a day, they don't always happen at the same time, and she's okay with that. She just rests when we're chilling out, so that's good. That was quite a long kind of in praise of Maisie. Probably the longest I've ever done. Maybe I should focus on that's what they say, isn't it? Focus on the good points. I've been having evening walks with her, longer evening walks than daily. Because you see there's sheep in the field locally here. And so I take her down to the railway track where there are no sheep. Because it's just not worth the hassle. The chance that she might jump into the field up there. So it's not until the sheep are gone from the fields up there, I don't think I'll be taking Maisie on the long woodland walks that we used to have. So there's a woodland beside the 2 sheep fields. Or actually the 2 sheep fields are kind of nestled into the woodland now. Gosh, I'm taking my time, aren't I? You can always speed it up. I'd imagine like you might do what I do when I'm looking back over the video, is to just check that I'm not doing anything obscene. And look at the beginning, look at the end. And maybe if you have a capacity to see something of the process, like speed it up. You can do that. Sometimes it can be quite slow moving though, like this one, I suppose. Alright, now, see there's a nice purplish thing going on. I wonder if I'll be able to make a purple. I'll go back to my paper again. So I've got this lovely pink. I'll just clean my brush a bit better. There's the lovely pink there, looking at the hydrangea flowers there now. And I think I need a bit of blue in it. And I'm wondering about putting something like that blue into it, but I think that's got a bit of green. So let's see what it looks like if that blue is mixed with with the, I think it's magenta I've got here. Will it go the colour I want, or will it go too greenish? Actually, I'm kind of happy with that for the shadows at least. So let's do the shadows of the hydrangea flower. So there's this one that's in shadow here. It's coming up to meet the tip of that leaf. And extending over here a little bit. And I could put a flash of the unadulterated pink in there at the edge where the light is meeting that petal. And maybe a touch more of the blue for the shadow there. And I'm going to carry on now with this bluish purpley colour to describe the other one. It's a bit more blue in this one. And it's not quite as high up as the leaf is. That leaf could be a little bit steeper. I made it less steep earlier, didn't I? And of course that needs to be a different colour from the flower. So I put some cadmium red into that the new steep slope. And I'll get a different brush to describe the pink. Okay. It's I think Erin listens to I think it's maybe someone on YouTube or something that she listens to. A bit like you, listening to me. I'm going to do a bit more of that, the brighter colour now as we go down here. I think it's the best colour I've got to explain the brightness at the edge. There's this lovely, the roundedness of the general kind of rounded bouquet of hydrangea flowers on this flower head. There's little pointy triangles extending out. I'm not going to aim to do it in a very hugely precise way, but I do feel I want to capture this dancing crowd of petals. These videos have taught me that explaining things out to the nth degree is not necessary. These videos have been one of those things that taught me that. And parenting is another thing that teaches you not to go on and on, because children won't tolerate you going on and on. And thankfully, if I want to make a point, I try and be concise. I'm not saying that I manage it, but I try anyway. Hey. It's Erin off upstairs with her tea and toast. She's got a great way of sorting out her she does a lovely kind of beginning to the day, I think, Erin. She takes her time getting herself ready, and she usually begins with food, and then gets her clothes organised and stuff. Okay, so today I'm going to go over, I think I'll pick up the paintings. I need to get some paintings from the studio and things to arrange delivery of those for the sale. My studio is in Cockenzie, near the sea. The one that's not in my garden, obviously. So it's lovely to feel like I can go over there today now and pick up a couple of paintings from there. There's a little bit of green leaf I'm noticing that I missed back here. Overlapped by this flower. I'm probably going to get a fright, aren't I, when I look at the time? And it's probably time for the Zoom call, and I've not done the jobs that I'd hoped. But it's okay. I feel like divine timing is in operation sometimes with these things. And the world isn't going to stop because I haven't done one thing. Alright, so now, and actually it was only myself. It was only me that was setting myself up to do it, really, nobody else. So this is good because I'm choosing instead to do this and give some time then to the admin-y stuff after this, before 11. That's fine. So the stem. The stem has got some knobbly bits. It changes direction a few times. It seems to me to be the character of a hydrangea stem, that it's not like a curve, but it's angled. I'll be doing another set of online flower and watercolour and landscape courses come New Year. You know, I think that the watercolour and flower painting ones are now full. The landscape one hasn't been put in place yet, but I feel like it might be March, and I have a couple of names down for that. So if you're interested in joining the landscape course in March, which will be online, you can send me an email at anya@divineportraits.co.uk. And eventually my friend Rose is going to help me sorting out my YouTube channel so that everything is, I've got a bit lax, you know, with keeping up to date with the details underneath each video and things. And sometimes I find it hard to find a particular video myself, not to mind anyone else looking for it. So that's not so good. If I'm doing the videos, I want them to be accessible, you know. So I decided to bite the bullet and ask my friend Rose, who's the person who set up the YouTube channel in the first place and helped me immensely with all of that stuff. I've asked her again to help. And Rose is from Norway. She came over and helped me a few years ago, but she's going to obviously do it online this time. Okay, what's happening now here? Yeah, I could anchor down a couple of those darks in the flowers themselves. So there's a shadow on that one, and there's a little triangle of shadow sticking out somewhere here as well. And then here it's quite dark. Maybe in there. Here. And then just to get a feel for the overlapping, how the jug overlaps the flowers. Oh, Maisie's outside. I'm going to just give a little bit of tone to one side of the petal that's been overlapped there. And of course there's another one overlapping it back here. It's being overlapped by the dark part of the jug, which now I want to re-emphasize, because I want that to read as jug and above it to read as petal. Okay, there's just a little bit of a blank space. Here that I want to create I want to make the flowers I want to fill with flowers in there. The white patch that was there was jarring, I thought. Feeling just a little brightness now down here. I could do with really clean water so that the brightness really is brightness and not in any way dull. But I think that's as bright as I'm going to get now with this water and with this paint that isn't exactly the colour, but it's close enough to the hydrangea colour. Maybe once it's fully dry I can come back in with some more darks and lights in the hydrangea itself. And speaking of darks and lights, I'm going to bring in as a final move, now that there's action here, I'm going to find some darks around here that will help to emphasize the contrast in the leaves and the jug and things on that side. Yeah, because with my eyes half closed it's quite dark there where the leaf enters into the jug. And even here too. Yeah? What time is it right now? Erin, I've got to get ready for the Zoom call though. Well, how about I take you in like 5 minutes then? Okay. You know, I won't be doing this much longer because Erin's leaving school at Christmas.
Where's my stuff?
Over there. Will you let Maisie in, love? I'll do it, it's fine. I'm almost done here. Alright. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a shadow behind. Oh, look what I just discovered. Some purple. I actually had purple paint on the palette. Maisie, were you stuck outside? And just a little bit of blue now for the jug again. I want to re-emphasize that little bit of spout so that it reads as a solid shape there. Maybe it's got some viridian green in it too. Oh, that's okay. And she's off up the stairs after Erin. That stair gate only needs to be left a tiny bit ajar and she's through it. Shakers. What was it, Erin?
Margot getting scared and she was going to put the wowie shelf and she knocked off the wand to know her new burner.
Oh. She's a bit much sometimes, even for Margot. Margot's an excited. She's kind of keen to have a bit of fun in her life, but still, Maisie's a little bit much for her. So that's it. I had a nice kind of peaceful morning there, painting that now. Now I'm just going to get myself out of my dressing gown and everything, and instead get dressed and be all officially ready for my call, even if I don't have the paperwork done for it. At least I won't be in my pyjamas. Oh, pins and needles. Okay. Right. See you tomorrow. Beautiful. It's not bright, but well, it's not sunny, but it is bright. Lizzie, come over here and say hello. Come here. There she is. This is my pal. Say hello to everyone there. Look. Bye.